everyone, it's me, Nikki. Welcome back to my channel. It has been a while. Just this stuff with my mom. We had to go to an oncologist one day, but then we couldn't actually get there because traffic was so bad. So we had to go like the next day, and we went like 3 hours early, or even 2 hours early, just to be safe. So it's good news though. It's treatable. So that's great. But yeah, I did read, this is my wrap up, by the way. I didn't say that at all. But I did read one physical book. The rest were audiobooks. I was going to read more physical books, but like I said, the stuff with my mom just sort of like took me out of it. So, we'll start with the physical book first. The Tiger's Daughter by K. Arsenault Riviera. This is an Asian-inspired fantasy. It's queer. They're lesbians. However, K. Arsenault Riviera is not Asian herself. So there is a review I found on Goodreads which pointed out everything that it's from an Asian person. So I am not able to touch on those topics myself, but I do recommend that review on Goodreads. It's like one of the first ones, I think. It's not, I think it's like a 1 or 2 star review. I can't remember. I enjoyed the book. But it's not what it says. It says that it's about these two women, Barsalaya, I butchered that, Shafali and Oshizuka, basically go fight demons and become heroes, but that's not what happens in the book. They fight a couple demons, but they don't actually cross the wall of flowers to do so, which is what I was expecting. It's just about their life story, separately and together, which I did find interesting. Yes, but it was not what I was expecting. So let me show you a map. Barsalaya is from, where is it? Over here. The Silver Steps. She's basically like, they're basically like Mongol. They have Mongol inspired, just everything about them. And Oshizuka is, I'm guessing, Japanese. It's supposed to be a Japanese inspired, because I think this place is supposed to be Chinese inspired, but it's weird because I think Shizuka is Japanese, but they have like the wall that they built, which is what China did against the, so it's like a little mishmash of everywhere. I'm not sure what these other places are supposed to be, and yeah, so that was weird, but whatever. What was I gonna say? I did like the description of things, like when Barsalia is in the steps, she describes it, and it's just really nicely described. Like, you can totally picture it and see it. Of course, I was picturing the pictures I've seen of Mongolia, but yeah, and I did like the characters, our two main characters. Obviously side characters as always. Like in a lot of fantasy stories, the side characters are some of the best parts. And there's a side character who's introduced, maybe not near the end, but in like near-ish the end. She's awesome. Well, there's a couple that are introduced nearest the end, and they're both awesome. But I probably liked Barsalia better, because Shizuka is the next in line after her uncle dies. She's next to become empress, and she knows it, and she uses, she's not afraid to use her imperial power to get things, which, I mean, I don't know if, I think a lot of people would do that if they had that kind of power. And she didn't really know, obviously, how the world worked. So that was a little annoying sometimes, but I think any character, like, even if it's like a princess who's stuck inside, like, whatever. But I did like Barsalia. I thought she was just, like, a nicer character, if that makes sense. I also really liked both their moms. Both their moms are war heroes. They, like, fought a war against each other, and then they went and fought the demons and basically kicked ass. Especially Barsalia's mother. She's a real ass kicker. She's, like, very strategic and military minded and all that stuff. But so is Shizuka's mother. So they're, like, best friends, and they were really cool. I would like a whole story about them, to be fair. I think that would be really cool. I said that a lot, and I apologize. But yeah, it's just, it's also told, like, in, not really epistolatory? I'm never sure if I'm saying that right. But it's a long letter written from one to the other with, like, interludes of the present time, which I liked as well. Some of the bits do go on a bit much, but I mean, it's a thick book. And I do have the next two, which are also very thick. So I am interested to see where it goes. But like I said, it wasn't... I liked it, but it wasn't what I was getting. I wanted, like, two teenage girls basically going and kicking demon ass. And you kind of got that. Like I said, there are some demons they fight and they do kick their ass. But they don't actually go over and do the thing. So, but yeah, you know, it's... I think these types of things are subjective. But I would definitely look at that review from someone on Goodreads. I want to make sure, now that I've said that it's still there. Yes, it's like the first one. So... And obviously, people are giving it 1, 2, 4 or 5 stars. I think I gave it 4 stars. Let me check. It's also, I would say it's adult fantasy. There are some sex scenes. So, yeah, I gave it 4 stars. Which I skipped over because I don't like that. Alright, let's go through my library books next. I'll do Squire. It was by 2 people. Sarah Alfahegi. Ooh. And Nadia Shamas. Sorry, I butchered those. It is a graphic novel. It is Middle Eastern inspired, and it is about Izia, who wants to become a knight. And it's like a united kingdom now, after the knights came through and forcibly united everybody. And she enlists in this training program with other people, and she makes friends and enemies, and it's just her going through that. And I very much liked it. There were some things I didn't like. I just read it and I can't remember anything about it. That's how bad my memory is with all this stress. I can't remember what I didn't like about it, but I know there were some things because I didn't give it 5 stars. I think Isia, she suffered from what a lot of male or female teenage main characters suffer from, is that they're teenagers and they focus. I've seen it in a lot of books or even TV shows. They focus on the thing and they don't notice anything else around them, much to their detriment later on. There were a couple generals I didn't like because they were just assholes to kids, which I'm like, yeah, you're training them to be soldiers, but you have to be assholes to them, which apparently is a yes. There was a cook, or he did sweeping and stuff, but he used to be a soldier. He was a lot of fun. I liked him. I did again, the side characters were a lot of fun. They were all there for different reasons. So yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. I wish I could remember why I gave it 4 stars, because I don't remember. I should probably write it down. What does Carpile say? Characters were a 9. Oh yeah, sometimes the plot, now that I see the Carpile, it sort of was going along, her being a squire, and then stuff happened, and you're like, where did that come from? But yeah, it wasn't took me out of the story. It was just a little weird jump. So yeah. Next I have audiobooks. I'll make sure to put all the images up, of course. I read A Spindle Splintered and a Mirror Mended, part of the Fractured Fable series. They are both about Zinnia Gray. She has in the first book, you find out that she has a disease. It's from an industrial accident, and everybody who's had this illness doesn't live past 21. She's almost 21. And Xenia loves the Sleeping Beauty story. She took She took a class on where they explored not only Sleeping Beauty but Snow White. There's a name for it. I've forgotten it. It's not mythology, classic literature maybe, but fable classic literature, because she knows all the types of different Sleeping Beauty stories. And then she pricks her finger and she winds up in a Sleeping Beauty story, and she's confused as fuck. But she gets out because there's a sequel where she is pulled into a mirror with a version of Snow White's evil queen, and then instead of Sleeping Beauties, she has gone through Snow White's. I liked the first one a little better than the second one. I believe I both gave them. I didn't always like Xenia. Sometimes her logic was a bit weird, but I'm not sure I would have I don't know what my logic would be if I was pulled into parallel fantasy universes. And the Mirror Mended, I guess I still liked her, but she was still running away. So didn't really like the ending of A Mirror Mended. A Spindle Splintered, at one point you get like a bunch, you just see like all these different Sleeping Beauties and like all these different types of universes, which I thought was really cool. And you sort of see the same thing with the Snow Whites. But I didn't like A Mirror Mended as much as A Spindle Splintered. If I gave them, because I think the logic in A Mirror Mended was even weirder than A Spindle Splintered. I'm gonna keep messing that up. So, I would recommend them though, if you want to try them out. They're queer. They're just novella length. They're not very long. I think like 10 hours on audiobook. So yeah. Next I read Mahimata, which is the sequel to Markswoman. I gave that 2 stars. So, I knew when I go into a sequel or even a book that I'm like, am I gonna like this? I always look at the reviews on Goodreads. I don't think I've read any reviews from the Storygraph. I should start doing that. So, basically it was like 3 to 4 for a lot of people, but I do also like to look at the 1 and 2 because they will tell you a little bit more. They'll give you spoilers, and I like spoilers. And it's not as good as the first one. Kira, I can't remember how to say say her name, is suddenly the Mahimata of her order after the end of the first book. And she's just like 16 or 17. She knows nothing, and like she's thinking just because she's the Mahimata, she can do all this stuff, and she doesn't ask for help. And she just really didn't seem like the character from the first book. Somebody says that in one of their reviews, and I'm like, oh, that can't be right. But she really seems like a different character, and it's very weird. At one point, she is cruel to her friend Ninnis, which is like one of her 2 best friends, and I'm like, wow. And they try to play it off as like she has this evil item on her, but I'm like, I don't know about that. That seems a bit like suspicious, I did not like the ending. I thought that was such a letdown. I did like they introduced these wolves. It's sort of in the first book. They mention them, but you see a lot more of them. They're called wire wolves, like werewolves. And they're really fun. I also liked another world kind of that Kyra can go into, and like talk to her mentor and things like that. So that's fun. And then her and Drustan, her love interest, they're kind of a lot more mopey. Oh, where is he? Where is she? It's like whatever. So yeah. It just wasn't as good as the first one, which is a shame because the first one had such a great cliffhanger. Just because the second one's so bad, I wouldn't read either of them. I mean, you might enjoy the second one, so I'm not going to tell you what to read and what not to read, but that's just my opinion. And then I read Moon Over Soho, which is the second of the Rivers of London book series. Super enjoyed that as well. Let me find my call pile. The main character, whose name I've forgotten, Grant was once again kind of meh. I love the narrator. So the narrator, because it's first person for Peter Grant. So I will forgive Peter Grant a lot of, and even Ben Aronovich for writing Peter this way, because the audiobook narrator is so good. He is so good. And this one is about, it's got jazz stuff, which is great because his dad was a jazz musician, so you get to meet his mom and dad. And it's just, I just loved the people, because there's killing. Obviously, there's killing. I would say maybe there's some gore. Leslie is back after what happened. So there's some, like, I'd say some gore, body horror stuff, but that might be in all of them. Because it is the supernatural, so you never quite know what you're gonna get. And I really liked it. It was just, it's interspersed with the main plot, but then, like, also other things that happened in the last book, they might be important for the next book. It's just a good, the dog is in it, Toby's in it, and like I said, it was great meeting his family, or his mom and dad at least, and it was, you got to learn more about them, and how they met, and all this stuff. It's just great. And he's learning more magic, Peter, and he's like doing it in a weird scientific way, which makes his teacher like, what are you doing? It's just a good book series so far. And yeah, I just liked it. I don't know if at some point I'm not gonna like it, but like I said, the narrator in an audio, I don't know if I would have liked it if I read it. Let's put it that way. Like, the narrator is so good, and like I said, I can forgive a lot because he's so good. He's so good. He like nails the voice. I love it. So I'm going to continue that series, and that is all I've read. But yeah, I had a pretty good reading month, even though I basically do what I do, and I read most at the beginning of April, and then basically nothing in the rest. I'll try to change that, because as I said, the only stress should be not from my mom's diagnosis, but from trying to find out where to go to get things taken care of. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you all next time.